You were deceived. They told you kindness equals strength. They claimed if you're sufficiently good, sufficiently patient, sufficiently understanding, others will cherish you, they'll esteem you, they'll behave correctly. But here's the reality no one will acknowledge. Your virtue is being wielded against you. Each time you agree when you mean to refuse, each time you prioritize another's needs above your own, wishing they'd see, wishing they'd value it. Every last time you go to great lengths for those who won't move an inch for you. You are not generating esteem. You are instructing people on how to exploit you. And the hardest part, you likely do not even perceive it occurring. You see, we mature with this storybook vision of reality. Act kindly. Act humbly. Offer the other cheek. Positive outcomes arrive for those who wait. Treat others as you wish them to treat you. Lovely concepts, truly. Yet here is what is omitted from those inspirational sayings. The world doesn't function like that. Not in your partnerships. Not in your profession. Not in any domain where control and leverage count. And if you accept it or not, control and leverage count everywhere. Machiavelli grasped this 5 centuries ago, and now we will analyze why his teachings are more applicable today than before. This is not regarding turning into an evil person. It's regarding preventing evil people from trampling all over you. Thus, if you have ever felt exploited, ignored, or demeaned despite acting perfectly, this message is for you. Let's discuss control. Let's discuss limits, and let's discuss why benevolence without force is simply a synonym for feebleness. Now, I need you to put this affirmation in the comments. I choose powerful kindness. Okay, let's begin. Number 1, the benevolent snare. Let's begin with a difficult point. When you're perpetually pleasant, others don't recall your worth. They recall your accessibility. Consider the individuals in your world currently, the people you'd abandon anything for, the people you assist without pause, the people who are sure you'll invariably be present. Now quiz yourself on this. Would they act identically for you? If you wavered before responding, you grasp the reality. This is what occurs when you're excessively kind, excessively available, excessively understanding. You turn into the individual others contact when they require help, not the individual they esteem, not the individual they look up to, the individual they exploit. And I am not stating this to be cruel. I am stating it because it's true. Reflect on it. The individual who invariably agrees, the individual who never resists, the individual who's constantly present at 3 a.m., prepared to listen, prepared to assist, prepared to forfeit their own time and energy. Are they esteemed? Are they honored? Are they handled with the dignity they merit? No. They're exploited. Since people don't cherish what is effortless, they cherish what involves a price. They esteem what has limits. When you're accessible 24/7, your time grows valueless. When you never refuse, your yes signifies nothing. When you provide without anticipating any return, others cease feeling thankful. They begin feeling deserving. You turn into ambient sound, a supply to be drained. A security measure they trust will invariably be present. And the most tragic element? You likely persuaded yourself this is how love appears. This is what friendship demands. This is what decent people do. Yet let me pose a question. If perpetually offering made others esteem you, wouldn't you be inundated with esteem by now? If constantly being accessible made others cherish you, wouldn't you feel cherished? The reality that you're viewing this message shows me you don't, and that leads us to the next reality. You might be the most truthful individual present, the most devoted, the most authentic, the most sincere human entity on earth. But if you lack control, lack leverage, lack substance when you talk, your virtue becomes unmemorable. Individuals esteem outcomes, not only motives. I understand that's difficult to accept. We desire to trust that being virtuous is sufficient. That acting correctly counts by itself. That honesty advocates for itself. But it does not. The past is filled with virtuous people who were destroyed because they lacked the control to shield their virtue. since in actual life, virtue without leverage is unseen. You might possess the greatest concepts in the discussion, but if you cannot convey them with assurance, another person will take them and receive the advancement. You might be the most loyal companion, but if you fail to demand esteem, others will deceive you without hesitation. You might be the most affectionate partner, but if you lack principles, you will be presumed upon. This is the point where individuals become muddled. They believe control and virtue are antonyms, that you must select between being benevolent and being forceful. That's foolishness. The reality is more basic and more difficult. Virtue requires control to endure. Benevolence requires force to signify anything. Your principles demand shielding, or they turn into objectives. And this is where it deteriorates. When you're virtuous without control, others don't simply disregard you. They begin probing you, pressing your limits, observing how much they can escape consequences. Since existence isn't equitable, and existence absolutely doesn't repay the most pleasant individual present, existence repays the individual who understands when to be pleasant and when to set a limit. The individual who offers from a position of selection, not duty. The individual who assists since they desire to, not since they're fearful of refusing. The more virtuous you are without limits, the more others probe your boundaries. They arrive late and anticipate you'll wait. They void arrangements and anticipate you'll comprehend. They request assistance and vanish when you require aid, and each single time you permit it, you are instructing them that your limits are unimportant, that your time is unimportant, that you are unimportant. This is the difficult reality that no one desires to acknowledge. Others exploit you since you failed to establish limits. You conditioned them to anticipate everything and offer nothing in return. Hear that once more. Allow that to register. You didn't intend to. You believed you were being benevolent. You believed you were being a great companion, a great partner, a great individual. But what you truly accomplished was instructing others that they can trample you without repercussions, that they can seize and seize and seize, and you'll simply grin and offer more. And today you're bewildered why others don't value you, why they don't esteem you, why they continue harming you. It's since you never demonstrated that harming you carries a price. Put this affirmation in the comments. My boundaries protect me. Second, the price of being excessively good. Let's delve further. You might possess the most sincere drives, the loftiest principles, the most wonderful ambitions on earth. But if you seem feeble, others will ridicule all you represent. Your principles turn into a joke. Your morals turn into something others snicker about when you're gone. This is harsh, but it's true. Consider the individuals you know who are perpetually exploited, the ones who whine about being abused but take no action regarding it, the ones who continue offering opportunities to individuals who obviously are unworthy of them. Do others esteem their benevolence? Do others praise their clemency? Do others revere their ethical superiority? No. Others believe they're foolish. And I am not claiming that is correct. I am claiming that is actuality. Since this is what Machiavelli grasped, that the majority of individuals decline to concede. How you are seen counts more than how you mean. Your appearance counts more than your emotions. And feebleness, regardless of its virtue, beckons assault. The past is filled with virtuous people who failed since they declined to grasp control. Consider each uprising, each conflict, each governmental change in human existence. The faction with superior principles didn't invariably triumph. The faction prepared to apply strength did. The faction that grasped control dynamics triumphed. I am not claiming principles are irrelevant. I am claiming principles without control supporting them get destroyed. You observe this in partnerships constantly. The individual who continues pardoning infidelity. The individual who continues tolerating irreverence. The individual who continues wishing their companion will alter if they simply adore them sufficiently. Are they acting honorably? Are they acting patiently? Are they acting virtuously? Perhaps. But they are additionally being exploited, and all others nearby can perceive it but them. Since existence doesn't repay the most pleasant individual, existence repays the individual who understands when to be pleasant and when to depart. The individual who can state, "I adore you, but I adore myself more, and I am not remaining in circumstances that demean me." The individual who can set a limit and intend it. The individual who grasps that occasionally the most benevolent action you can take is declining to engage in your own abuse. That isn't brutality. That's self-esteem. And this is the portion that truly hurts. The more virtuous you are without limits, the more others probe your boundaries. They are not acting to be malevolent. They are acting since humans are programmed to pursue benefits, to press until they encounter opposition, to seize what's offered without cost. It isn't individual, it's human tendency. Your colleague continues offloading their tasks onto you since you continue receiving it. Your companion continues voiding arrangements since you continue stating it's acceptable. Your relatives continue demeaning your time since you continue appearing regardless of how they behave, and each time you receive it, you are strengthening the habit. You are instructing them that this is permissible, that you'll endure it, that there are zero repercussions. Thus they continue acting. And they'll continue acting until you halt them. Yet this is what renders this so challenging. This is why numerous virtuous people remain snared in this loop. You persuaded yourself that establishing limits renders you the villain, that refusing makes you self-centered, that shielding yourself makes you harsh. So you continue offering, you continue forfeiting, you continue wishing that ultimately others will awaken and value you. But they will not, since you instructed them not to. This is the difficult reality that alters all things once you concede it. Others exploit you since you failed to establish limits. You conditioned them to anticipate everything and offer nothing in return. You demonstrated that your benevolence has no restrictions, so they ceased esteeming it. You demonstrated that your time has no worth, so they ceased shielding it. You demonstrated that harming you has no repercussions, so they ceased caring. And today you're depleted, worn out, bitter, questioning why you're invariably the one offering and never getting. It's since you never required more. You never departed. You never demonstrated to others that entry to you is a benefit, not an entitlement. Allow that to register. Entry to you is a benefit. Your time is worthy. Your energy is vital. Your benevolence is a present, not a duty. And until you begin behaving like that's accurate, others will continue handling you like it's false. I need you to put this affirmation in the comments. I protect my energy. Number 3, Machiavelli's teaching. Now let's discuss what Machiavelli truly grasped. Virtue is lovely. Principles count. I am not present to instruct you to turn into an evil person. I am present to instruct you that virtue without control perishes rapidly. Your principles demand shielding. Your benevolence demands limits. Your principles demand force supporting them, or they turn into objectives for individuals who possess none. Machiavelli wasn't instructing people to be malevolent. He was instructing them to endure in a world where malevolence is present. He was instructing them that virtuous motives are irrelevant if you're too feeble to enact them. He stated it 5 centuries ago, and it remains accurate today. If you fail to grasp human tendency, others will make you their victim. He wasn't acting jaded. He was acting truthfully. Since this is what the majority of individuals decline to concede about human tendency. Individuals don't behave how you desire they might. They behave how their concerns direct them. Your manager doesn't worry about your difficult labor unless it advantages them. Your companions don't consider your requirements unless you render them apparent. Your companion doesn't esteem your limits unless you uphold them. That doesn't render them malevolent. It renders them human. And if you proceed through existence anticipating others to be equitable, to be thoughtful, to handle you well simply since you handle them well, you are going to be let down again and again. Not since others are evil, but since you're functioning with incorrect premises. You believe benevolence generates benevolence, that magnanimity generates magnanimity, that if you're virtuous to others, they'll be virtuous to you. Sometimes that's accurate, but frequently it's false. Frequently, your benevolence simply demonstrates to others what they can escape. Your magnanimity demonstrates how much you'll provide. Your virtue demonstrates you will not resist. And then they exploit you, not since they're beasts, but since you rendered it simple. This is the reason Machiavelli discussed control so extensively. Not since control is virtuous or evil, but since control is required. It's required to shield what you cherish. It's required to uphold your limits. It's required to ensure your benevolence stems from selection, not terror. And this leads us to one of the key differentiations the majority of individuals never grasp. A strong individual can manage to be benevolent since they have nothing to dread. A feeble individual is benevolent since they have no alternative option. Reflect on that. When you're benevolent from a place of force, it's a present. When you're benevolent from a place of feebleness, it's endurance. One acquires esteem, the other beckons exploitation. When an executive assists a worker, it's viewed as magnanimous. When a needy worker assists an executive, it's anticipated. When a forceful individual pardons, it's viewed as honorable. When a feeble individual pardons, it's viewed as pitiful. Identical act, varied impression, since control alters all things. This is the reason Machiavelli stated it's preferable to be dreaded than adored if you cannot be both. Not since dread is virtuous, but since dread establishes limits. Dread makes others reconsider before opposing you. Dread shields your benevolence from being exploited. You don't need to be brutal. You don't need to be nasty. But you do need to be an individual others reconsider demeaning. And that demands control, not bodily control, not wealth or position, but the control of self-esteem, the control to depart, the control to refuse and intend it. That is the type of control that shields your virtue. That is the type of control that renders your benevolence worthy. That is the type of control that permits you to be as magnanimous as you desire without turning into an objective, since this is the reality that the majority of individuals overlook. It isn't regarding ruling others. It's regarding not being ruled. It isn't regarding making others dread you. It's regarding making others esteem you, and esteem only arrives when others know you will not endure irreverence. Now, I need you to put this in the comments. I choose respect always. Number 4. The true significance of power. So let's become certain on what control truly signifies. Control doesn't signify being brutal. It doesn't signify harming people. It doesn't signify maneuvering or ruling or tyrannizing. True control signifies possessing command over yourself, your selections, your limits. It signifies understanding when to offer and when to refuse. It signifies being an individual who can depart from anything that fails to benefit them. That's control. Not the control to harm others, the control to shield yourself. Not the control to seize, the control to decline. Not the control to command people. The control to command your own existence. Let me analyze this into something tangible. True control is refusing without remorse. It's rejecting that assistance you don't wish to perform. It's spurning that summons you don't wish to receive. It's denying that plea that violates your limits, and acting without contrition, without excessive clarification, without sensing like you are indebted to anyone for a reason for shielding your own time and energy. That's control. True control is departing from irreverence. It's terminating that companionship that's unbalanced. It's exiting that partnership that depletes you. It's resigning from that employment that doesn't cherish you. Even when it's difficult, even when it's frightening, even when others attempt to shame you into remaining. That's control. True control is selecting who merits your energy. It's being particular about who gains entry to you. It's grasping that not all individuals merit your time, your benevolence, your focus, and being fine with that. Not every individual is your ally. Not every individual merits your finest. Not every individual has gained the privilege to your magnanimity. That's control. You see, the majority of individuals believe control appears like supremacy, like being the most boisterous individual present, like ruling others, like forcing others to act as you wish. But that isn't control. That's vulnerability disguised as force. True control is silent. It's tranquil. It's the capacity to remain composed when all others near you are becoming frantic. It's the capacity to maintain your limits even when others press against them. It's the capacity to be benevolent without being feeble. True control is the executive who doesn't require shouting because all others already esteem them. It's the companion who doesn't need to demonstrate their worth because all others already grasp it. It's the individual who can be magnanimous without being exploited because all others know there are restrictions. That's the type of control we're discussing. That's the type of control you must cultivate. And this is why this counts so greatly. When you possess control, true control, self-esteem control, limit-establishing control, your benevolence changes. It ceases being something others anticipate and begins being something others value. It ceases being a feebleness they exploit and begins being a force they esteem. Since now your benevolence arrives with self-esteem affixed, your magnanimity arrives with limits affixed, your clemency arrives with principles affixed. You aren't benevolent since you're fearful of being different. You are benevolent since you select to be. And that selection creates the entire distinction. Others can sense the distinction. They can perceive when an individual is offering from plenty versus offering from terror. They can perceive when an individual is being pleasant, since they desire to, versus pleasant, since they must. And they react differently. When you're benevolent from a place of control, others cherish it. When you're benevolent from a place of feebleness, others exploit it. Identical benevolence, varied situation, varied result. This is what Machiavelli grasped. This is what every strong individual during all of time has grasped. This is what you must grasp if you desire to cease being trampled. Virtue is not feebleness, but virtue without limits is. Benevolence is not gullible, but benevolence without self-esteem is. Magnanimity is not absurd, but magnanimity without restrictions is. You can be all the virtuous things you desire to be, but you must be forceful enough to shield those virtuous things. You must be strong enough to guarantee your benevolence isn't confused with feebleness. You must be esteemed enough that others reconsider before opposing you. That isn't regarding altering who you are. It's regarding shielding who you are. It's regarding guaranteeing the world doesn't penalize you for being virtuous. Since at this moment, if you're truthful with yourself, the world is penalizing you for being virtuous. Others are wielding your benevolence against you. Your magnanimity is being exploited. Your tolerance is being abused. And it will continue occurring until you determine it ceases. Until you determine that being virtuous doesn't mean being a pushover. That being benevolent doesn't mean receiving irreverence. That being clement doesn't mean enduring recurrent deception. You can be all those lovely things. Benevolent, magnanimous, clement, patient, understanding. But you must be strong as well. You must have limits as well. You must have principles as well. Since benevolence without force isn't goodness. It's exposure. And in a world filled with individuals who will completely exploit exposure, you cannot manage to be that unprotected. So this is what you must grasp. This is what you must retain from this whole discussion. Being virtuous doesn't render you feeble. Being benevolent doesn't render you an objective. Being magnanimous doesn't render you a simpleton. But being virtuous without limits does. Being benevolent without self-esteem does. Being magnanimous without restrictions does. The world doesn't require more pleasant individuals who get trampled. The world doesn't require more virtuous individuals who get exploited and discarded. The world doesn't require more benevolent individuals who offer until nothing remains. The world requires forceful people who select benevolence from a place of control, who offer since they desire to, not since they're fearful not to, who pardon because they're safe enough to release things, not because they're too feeble to require better. That's the individual you must turn into. Not an individual who ceases being benevolent, an individual who's benevolent on their own conditions. Not an individual who ceases caring, an individual who cares about themselves as greatly as they care about others. Not an individual who ceases offering, an individual who offers to people who merit it and departs from people who don't. Cease offering your control away. Cease permitting others to handle your benevolence like it's valueless. Cease receiving conduct you'd never endure from yourself. Begin shielding what counts. Begin upholding your limits. Begin being the type of individual who others esteem, not just someone others exploit. Since benevolence without force isn't goodness, it's exposure, and you've been exposed long enough. It's time to be strong. It's time to be esteemed. It's time to be an individual who offers from selection, not duty. Machiavelli wasn't instructing you to be brutal. He was instructing you to be clever, to grasp how the world truly functions, not how you desire it functioned, to shield your virtue with force so it endures in a world that will completely attempt to ruin it. So quiz yourself at this moment. Are you being benevolent from control or from terror? Are you offering since you desire to or since you're fearful of what occurs if you do not? Are others esteeming your limits or are you not establishing any? The response to those questions will reveal all you must know about where you are at this moment. And if you dislike the response, you know what must alter. Before you exit, if this message enlightened you, press that like button. Distribute it with someone who needs to hear this. And follow this channel, since we are going to continue having these true discussions that no one else desires to have. Recall this. Esteem yourself first. All else follows. Your partnerships will get better. Your profession will get better. Your whole existence will get better. Not since you turned nasty, but since you turned forceful. Not since you ceased caring, but since you began caring about yourself also. That's the transition. That's the alteration. That's what divides individuals who get trampled from individuals who get esteemed. So make the selection. Cease being the individual who all others exploit. Begin being the individual who all others esteem. Cease offering your control away. Begin shielding what counts. Since benevolence without force isn't goodness, it's exposure. And you merit better than that. Put your affirmation one final time. I am powerful and kind. Now go be that individual. The world is waiting.